For a long time, the alliance looked unshakable. Elton John, the legendary rocket man, survivor icon, and fiercely loyal friend of Princess Diana, appeared to be one of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's most steadfast protectors. When the world turned on the Sussexes, Elton stood firm. He defended them publicly, hosted them privately, and according to his own statements, used his resources to shield them from the pressures he believed had destroyed Diana. But even legends have breaking points. Behind the scenes, according to accounts now circulating through Hollywood, royal-adjacent circles, and aviation insiders, Elton John has quietly but decisively stepped away from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. No more lending the private jet, no more quiet favors, no more covering, defending, or absorbing the fallout of their choices. And those close to him say the decision was not sudden. It was the end of a long road paved with entitlement, overuse, and a growing sense that generosity had been mistaken for obligation. The story begins, fittingly, in the air. In February 2022, Elton John's Bombardier Global Express, an aircraft synonymous with his rock star stature, took off for what should have been a routine transatlantic flight to New York. Instead, it became a nightmare. Mid-journey, the jet suffered a serious hydraulic failure while battling violent winds. The system responsible for steering the aircraft faltered, forcing the pilot to declare an emergency and attempt a perilous return to the UK. What followed was chaos. Eyewitnesses described a plane struggling to descend, its nose pitched dangerously high, aborting one landing attempt after another as crowds gathered below. For a long time, the alliance looked unshakable. Elton survived, shaken but alive, and in classic fashion, still made it to perform his scheduled concert days later. Publicly, it was described as a frightening but isolated mechanical issue. Privately, however, those close to the singer say it changed everything. According to insiders, Elton was left not only physically rattled, but emotionally disturbed by the realization that his generosity may have pushed his prized aircraft beyond reasonable limits. Maintenance reviews reportedly raised questions about the jet's recent flight history, and whispers began circulating that the aircraft had been used far more for Sussex travel than for Elton's own touring schedule. The jet, sources claim, had effectively become Harry and Meghan's airborne refuge during their most turbulent post-royal period. Trips between the UK and California, escape to Europe, privacy-driven hops that avoided commercial terminals and unwanted attention. At one point, aviation professionals allegedly noted the aircraft was flying as frequently as 6 days a week. For a private jet, even one as robust as the Global Express, that level of use is punishing. To Elton, the implications were chilling. He had lent the jet out of loyalty, not expecting it to be treated like a personal sky taxi. The hydraulic failure, in his mind, was no longer just bad luck. It was a wake-up call. And it struck at the heart of why he had said yes in the first place, and Elton John's devotion to Prince Harry was never casual. It was rooted in grief and guilt, forged in the aftermath of Princess Diana's death. He had long believed the press intrusion she endured played a role in her tragic end, and when Harry stepped away from royal life citing similar pressures, Elton felt compelled to help. In 2019, when the Sussexes faced backlash for private jet use, Elton publicly defended them, insisting he paid for carbon offsets to align with Harry's environmental principles. But over time, that defense became harder to justify. The Sussexes' image as climate champions clashed increasingly with their travel habits. Critics tallied flights, emissions, and appearances that seemed incompatible with their rhetoric. Elton, according to those close to him, began to feel complicit in a narrative that no longer sat comfortably with his own values. Then came the car. Another detail, smaller but deeply symbolic, reportedly added fuel to the growing resentment. In 2021, during one of Meghan's early high-profile outings in California, Elton allegedly loaned her a luxury Range Rover, his personal vehicle, for what was meant to be a brief PR-related need. Years later, according to sources, the car had still not been returned. It wasn't the monetary value that stung. Elton John can afford a Range Rover many times over. It was what the unreturned loan represented, a pattern where favors extended quietly became expectations assumed indefinitely. Friends of Elton say he began to feel less like a cherished ally and more like an unlimited resource. The timing did not help. Financial questions were beginning to swirl more loudly around the Sussexes' post-royal life. Their $14 million Montecito mansion came with staggering upkeep costs, taxes, security, staff, landscaping, and lifestyle expenses that rivaled palace living without palace backing. Meanwhile, their media ventures showed cracks. Netflix projects were canceled or underperformed. Spotify parted ways. Meghan's planned animated series was shelved. Prince Harry's memoir generated headlines, but long-term financial clarity remained elusive. In that context, reliance on wealthy friends took on a different tone. The jet, the car, the hospitality. To critics, these were signs not of independence, but of dependency dressed up as freedom. The social fallout became visible in 2023. Elton John's Oscars of viewing party is legendary, an inner circle event that blends Hollywood royalty with genuine friendship. Harry and Meghan, once welcome fixtures, were notably absent. No explanation was offered. But in Hollywood, absence is often louder than any press release. Insiders say that by this point, contact between the parties had all but ceased. Some allege Elton became aware of dismissive remarks made behind his back, shared through overlapping social circles. Others point to subtle tensions referenced in Spare, where Harry alluded to moments of disagreement with Elton that now read differently in hindsight. Whatever the final straw was, the result appears clear. Elton John stepped back completely. This retreat carries weight precisely because of who he is. Elton is not a fair-weather friend. His loyalty is legendary, especially when it comes to Diana's legacy. If he has decided that boundaries must be enforced, it suggests a depth of disappointment that goes far beyond a single incident. And it raises uncomfortable questions for Harry and Meghan. If even someone so emotionally invested, so historically connected, so publicly supportive has walked away, who remains willing to extend unconditional support? The Sussexes' circle has visibly narrowed over the years. Relationships that once seemed rock solid have quietly faded. Invitations dry up. Appearances thin out. The silence from Montecito has been telling. No public denials, no clarifications, just distance. In the end, this story is not really about a jet, a car, or even celebrity excess. It is about the cost of blurred boundaries, about what happens when gratitude is assumed rather than expressed, and about the moment when generosity becomes unsustainable. Elton John survived a near-fatal scare in the sky and emerged with clarity on the ground. His reported decision to say never again is not spiteful. It is final, a recognition that loyalty without limits eventually destroys itself. The Sussexes once promised a new model of life: freedom, authenticity, independence. But the unraveling of their relationship with one of their most powerful allies exposes the fragility beneath that promise. When the music stops, when the jet is grounded, when the favors end, what remains is the truth of the relationships built along the way. And in this case, the silence left behind may be the loudest verdict of all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.